Hi everyone, this is Professor Wall, lead faculty, one of the lead faculty in the School of Education at Franklin University, and I wanted to go through some of the assignment explanations and expectations so that you are ready to get started on those assignments to turn in that first week of your EDP 400 course. So to start with, I want to show you how to access the text in your course if you have not been able to find it yet. So when you are on the home screen, if you click on this, I believe it's called a hamburger, I click on this over here and these options come up for you on the left hand side. If you click on e-reader, it takes it just a second, your book will come up, and if you click on read now, then the book will come up. The book is because we name things modules in Canvas, it can get a little confusing. So I want to make sure that you understand how the book is set up. So the book is actually set up as in units like any normal textbook would be, but then those units are broken down into modules. So if you think of the modules as chapters, so you've got unit 1 and then you've got 3 chapters in that unit, but they call them modules instead of chapters. That's all that it is. So the modules in the text, just think of them as chapters. The module numbers do not coordinate with the modules in Canvas. So in each unit, then you've got these 3 modules and you only have one set of case studies. So I'll come back to that later. But now you know how to access the text and how the text is set up. It's set up in units like any normal textbook. And then there are 3 modules or chapters, 3 chapters in each unit. They just name them modules. So that is how you access your text. So while you are reading your textbook, you should always be thinking, or while reading this text, always be thinking, what does this tell me about the students in my classroom? So be looking at the research of like what it says about elementary students or what it says about high school students. So what does it say about students in your classroom pertaining to your licensure area? And then how does this connect with my actions in the classroom? What does it recommend that you should do based on what you're learning about the students in your classroom? And then what questions do you have? So once you start reading, and asking yourself those questions is going to help you complete your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s. For the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s, you need to complete all the bullet points with details. So don't just say, it tells me that I should do this. You're going to say, what does it tell me to do, and then why? And then you need to include information from all assigned modules in the unit or all the chapters in the unit. So your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s, let me get back to Canvas here. And actually, I'll go into student view so you can see it. Okay, so each week you will have to complete the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I recommend go into, unit 1, read all 3 modules, module 2, module 3, module 4. And while you're reading, asking yourself those questions that I just shared with you. And then you're going to complete this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the discussion board. So you're going to say 5 bullets of what you learned to expect from students in your licensure area, 4 bullets of what you learned about your actions as a teacher in the classroom, 3 bullets of disconnect, disagreement, or confusion based on what you read, 2 questions you have about the material, and then 1 personal or professional connection you made to the material. And then, so that needs to be posted by Thursday. And then by Sunday, you need to respond to 2 of your classmates. So maybe they were confused about something and you feel like you can help them understand it. Or maybe you have the same type of confusion and you want to add to it and say, I was confused by that too, and I'm also wondering this. Or maybe you have a similar personal connection and you want to share that personal connection as well. So that is your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 has to include information from all 3 modules or chapters in the unit. So the next thing you want to do, so that's the first part of each week. Then you're going to answer the case study, the responses to case study questions. So let me explain those. So when you go in here, you're going to read all 3 of the modules or the chapters, just like you have before. And on the case study response document, you are going to, at the very start, list 5 connections that you made between the case study and the module. And you need to include all 3 modules or all 3 chapters in your connections. So what do I mean when I say case studies? Well, let's go back to the book and let's look at Unit 1. So I'm in Unit 1, Personal Development, and I'm going to go to, so when I scroll down at the beginning of each unit, and you'll see it over here, there are case studies. There are 4 case studies for each unit. You are only reading and connecting and answering responses for one of these case studies. So you are going to choose one of them. So if you are doing pre-K to 5 licensure, you can do either early childhood crybaby or you can do elementary school. If you are doing middle school licensure, you're going to want to look at the case study for middle school. If you are doing AYA licensure, then you're going to want to look at the case studies for high school. If you are going for the intervention specialist, K to 12, then you can choose any area and it doesn't have to be the same every time. So you are reading one of these case studies. So you're going to read the case study. Let's say I read case study elementary school team. Okay, so I read that case study, I'm reading the chapter. As I'm going through the chapter, if I realize, oh, hey, this is talking about parenting practices, and I notice that the parent in my case study definitely matches with this parenting practice, then in your case study response document, you are going to, sorry, I'm trying to get back to it. So in your case study response document, you will type in there, I noticed that the parent in my case study so-and-so was showing me authoritative parenting practice because they did this. So you'll make 5 connections you have between the case study and the modules while you're reading. And you only include 5 connections total, but you want to make connections to all of the units. So maybe you make 2 for module 2 and 2 for module 3 and 1 for module 4, or however you're going to sort those out, but only 5 connections total, but you're connecting to each module or each chapter. Once you have those connections done, then you are going to, and if you would, sorry, let me back up a second. Make sure you put your case study level and title. So I told you that I was going to do the elementary school team. I would type that in here, elementary school team, make my 5 connections. And now I need to go back and I need to answer my reflect and evaluate responses. You will notice that in the assignment it says responses to case study module 2, context of development. So you will only be answering the reflect and evaluate questions that are at the end of module 2. So I have read all the chapters, I've done my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s, I made my connections. Now I go back to module 2. I go all the way to the end of that module. Sorry, I had to pause a second, the dogs were barking. So I go back to module 2. I go all the way to the end of that module. And at the end of that module, it has case studies reflect and evaluate. So I read and made connections to the elementary school team case study. So I am only going to answer these 6 questions about the elementary school case study. If I read early childhood crybaby, sorry. If I read early childhood crybaby, I would make connections to this case study and then only answer these 6 questions. Same thing for basketball star or high school steal, cheat, and fight. So you are only answering at most in this chapter 6 questions and just to the whatever case study you read. So you answer those and on your case study response document, and then it will be ready to turn in. As far as case studies and the expectations for those, the case studies really show us that you are understanding the material and you're making connections to the theories and the practices that they're talking about in the text and actual classroom application, the closest that we can get to it in this situation, which is the case study scenarios. So in your case study expectations, you're going to start by fully answering that question using vocabulary, a theory or concept, or research from the text. So if the text says, based on the information provided in the case study, Speculate on the parenting strategies most likely used by Annie's mom and Zeta's parents. So I would answer the question and say, Annie's mom used the permissive parenting practice. That's not the correct answer. Sorry again. That's not, I'm not sure if that's the correct answer because I haven't looked at this in a while, but I'm just using it as an example. So I would say my first part of it would be Annie's mom used the permissive parenting practice while Zeta's parents seem to use uninvolved parenting practice. That's my first part. Then I'm briefly going to define the vocab or quote or paraphrase the research from the text. So I would go back and say, you know, Annie's permissive parenting is this, and the uninvolved parenting is this. And I'm going to cite that with a page number that I got it from in the text. And to find the text page numbers, you will actually look down in this bottom corner here and put what page number is down here to show you, to say, you know, you can just say page 45. It does not have to be an APA citation for this the case study document. You just have to put what page you got it from. Just to make sure that you're citing your evidence. And then finally, you're going to make a connection to the case study by using specific details. So I've said that Annie's mom uses permissive parenting. I've defined permissive parenting, and then I'm going to say, I noticed that Annie's mom did this, which is like permissive parenting. I also noticed from the case study that Annie's mom did this. So you're making that connection to the case study. That's how you complete your case study questions on just the one module and get full credit for it. So here's just an example of one from students in the past. So example 1 received full credit, while example 2 did not. You'll notice that she gave me a brief explanation of Bronfenbrenner's theory, and she gave me a page number, she or he, I'm not sure, the student did. And then they gave me a brief summary of that theory, and then they talked about, like, they connected it to the case study, and the student in the case study was Kashi. And so they explained, you know, how these factors were affecting her from the case study. This example would not have received full credit because it's just going into, I mean, they told me a little bit about it, but they did not cite their text evidence. They made good connections to the case study, but they didn't tell me anything about the theory from the text. They didn't, you know, summarize it. And again, they didn't cite their text evidence. So this is kind of to show you what they should look like. So that is how you can complete your case study expectations, and I'm sure that your professors will be giving you, you know, good feedback on those and telling you how you can improve those, but that's just kind of help you through. If you've got any questions about your case studies or the Unit 54321s, be sure to reach out to your professor and they will let you know what you need to do. And you can reach them through the inbox in Canvas. So I hope you have a great first semester with us here at Franklin, and I look forward to seeing you in class sometime soon.